Hello, this is Elle. On this episode of the LYHL podcast, we are on tour. We're out on the trail. This is a Run with Elle episode. When I am running, I get lots of thoughts. You can maybe perceive that I am not running right now, and that is great because it's prompted some things that I want to talk about today. And I was thinking about, and I think I want to call it opportunity gains. So we know about opportunity cost, where when you make a decision, it means you can't do something else. If I'm going to wear a certain outfit one day, it means at that particular time I can't wear something else. I'm going to have a certain look, I'm going to have a certain fit. I decided where I was going to run today. I'm up in the mountains, so I'm in the sun. I've had to navigate a lot of elevation. I could have gone down to the ocean and been under a marine layer. I could have, it would have been cooler, it would have been flat. And because I'm here, I don't know what I would have seen there. I don't know, I can't see what's happening, at Venice Beach right now. I can just see the people that are up here, the bikers and the hikers, trail runners, the lizards, the bees, the ants, the beetles. I'm up here. I've made this decision. And so in deciding to be here, the monarch butterflies, by being here, I can't be home with my dog. By being here, I can't still be visiting family in the Midwest, right? We have to make decisions. So when we make decisions, there's a cost to them. But there's also circumstances where things just happen to us, and these are things that we're not, we would wish were different. We don't like how they turned out. There's some sort of pain associated with it. Sorry, since we're on the go, I gotta have my snacks so I don't bonk. There's a cost associated with it. There's a loss associated with it. So there's some, and this can be any number of things, but let's use the example of injury. So I've tried to do my best to give this mindset to clients that I have, patients that I've had in my coaching and physical therapy practice. And that is, you can have this injury and there's going to be this loss associated with it. So all kinds of things. Are you angry? Are you sad? Are you grieving? Are you frustrated? Disappointed? Despondent? There can be any number of emotions, and the more specific that I actually feel like I might be able to run a little bit. Should we try this? The more specific we are with processing our emotions, the better. So that needs to happen. But a lot of times what happens is we don't see the opportunities. And so this is maybe been described as silver linings, but we can just get stuck under the disappointment and the grieving and this belief, that things aren't fair, that you maybe had so if we use a physical goal, let's say swimming is really vital to your health. It's how you manage your cholesterol. But you have a shoulder injury, so I've told you shouldn't or you can't swim. So sometimes it's either those people literally physically can't, and sometimes it's they shouldn't, and then it's kind of up to them to decide. But I give them the information. They're adults, and they choose to follow that that expert advice, or they choose to do whatever they're going to do for their own reasons. But let's say you love running, but you've injured your foot. You broke a bone in your foot, or you have a big cut, a big laceration on your foot, and so you can't even put weight on your foot. Okay. Or maybe you're a climber and you've got a tendon issue, and so you can't climb, but that's what you love. You know, you do it 4 or 5 days a week. That's like your social time. And so, you know, these people, they're not able to do these things they love. And these are all kind of sports, physical activities, but it could be related to work, or, you know, you can just extrapolate from that any number of directions, any number of circumstances. But for that person that has that shoulder pain and can't, you know, swim and do the strokes that they want to, it's such an opportunity. Most people could get their abs, their core, their back, their hips stronger, and so they could practice having a better kick, right? And I mean, and not just like, oh, silver lining, isn't that, oh, you see the cloud, oh, but isn't that pretty? I'm talking about like, no, like on the other side of it, you'll actually be better than if you hadn't had this injury, because this injury has allowed you to focus on something that you never prioritized. And so these are opportunity gains. It's not just so silver lining. No, like you're better for it. So you might be able to swim faster because of this. And then, you know, maybe that's in your master's class, or you do competitions, or maybe you want to do a triathlon, or you want to, you know, swim the English Channel or swim to Cuba or something, right? So it could really just level up, make you more capable. For that climber that has a tendon issue in their fingers, okay, you can't do that, but how about we get your back, your shoulders stronger, your back stronger? We could still get your forearms stronger. What about hips and legs strength? Hello. What about flexibility in your shoulders, in your hips? What about your balance? There's so many, like, and you could be an incredibly better climber by working on these things, but most climbers do not want to do that because they just love climbing. Same thing with running. Runners aren't runners because they love strengthening. They're runners because they love running. And so to say, oh, or for them to know that they can't, you know, hurts too much, it's too swollen, the bone might not heal, the wound might become infected and never heal because they keep separating by putting weight on it. But what about, strengthen those hamstrings, strengthen those quads, strengthen those hips, strengthen those abs. There's so many opportunities to make just even running better, let alone, okay, well, let's work on posture so that you feel better while you're at work, so you have less headaches. You know, these are all kinds of opportunity gains, and I'm just giving physical examples here, okay? So, but there's so many other options. So I think it's worth pausing when you find yourself in circumstances, and I'm not talking about that initial phase. That can actually be very harmful, and to not feel your feelings. There's such a thing as toxic positivity. You know, people that are just too positive, they don't let you feel sad, they don't let you feel angry, they don't let themselves feel sad or angry, and there's just not that breadth of range of experience that it is to be human. So I'm not talking about those early stages of grieving. You need to feel the anger, the frustration, the sadness, and once you've felt that, it's a good time to consider what opportunities are here. So one of the things that I sign off with on these podcasts is, may you always see the blessing, right? And so this is another way of saying, may you always see the blessing. That what is challenging, what is hard, what is difficult, what feels like you're never going to make it through, and what in there might actually also, might also be the thing that just tripped there for those of you that aren't watching the video. What are the things in there that might actually save your life? May you always see the blessing. That comes out of this biblical text. There's this scripture that paints the scenes of two people, and they're both in the desert. There's both hard things going on, but one person is cursed and the other is blessed. The person that is blessed still is weathering the storms, is still going through drought, but their roots are going deep. Their roots go so deep that they can make it through these seasons. And I think there is a practice that we can develop that can help sustain us individually, and by sustaining us, we can spread that to those around us. It's a means of hope. Hope is faith. Hope is action. Hope is a practice. And so may you always see the blessing is, can you see the beauty around you? Can you see the goodness around you? Can you see the opportunities in a circumstance where there's actually something really wonderful, really inviting, really miraculous happening? And, it can be like a dandelion growing in the crack of a sidewalk. As simple as that. A tree hanging off the side of a mountain cliff. It can be those words of encouragement that somebody gives you. It can be appreciating your breath, your autonomy to breathe, and how delightful that feels in your body. Thanks for joining today's episode on the Go Run with Elle. May you always see the blessing. Thanks for listening to this episode of the LYHL podcast. I'm so glad you're here. If you liked what you heard, you can find me on Instagram and YouTube at the LYHL, as well as on my website, www.theLYHL.com. Of course, you can find me back here at the next episode of the LYHL podcast. There's numerous ways to support my work so I can keep helping you live your healthiest life. You can do this financially via links on my website or the show notes, by subscribing to the podcast and YouTube channels, by joining my newsletter community, aptly named the LYHL newsletter, by rating the podcast, by sharing with others, those you meet, and participating in coaching sessions. It's my passion to help you live your healthiest life. I'm so glad you're here. I'd love to hear your thoughts about what you're learning and the insights you're gaining from these conversations. May you always see the blessing.